pure business world would quickly cure poverty and make everyone live like a millionaire. Us going public and the actions I lay out here today will let us set up that universal leap for all of mankind. We will bring our vision to the world. Well, here we go. The past two talks, I brought you the problem in our world, and I brought you the solution for our world. Now, the problem being the residual bicameral like following mode, mentally passed down for 3,000 years, and the solution being to liberate man's mind from the following mode mentality with the self-leader neothink mentality. Today, I'll bring you the actions we will now take to accomplish this on a large scale. You ready? Let's roll. These will be the actions we need to take to move civilization beyond the political civilization. Remember, we've always lived in a political civilization since the beginning of time. And we want to move this civilization from the political civilization into a business civilization. So today, I'll lay out the big vision. All right, so we'll start with this. Mankind has only experienced a political civilization. Political civilizations have ruling classes above the working class. Political civilizations are the result of mankind's following mode mentality that we've never moved beyond. Mankind has never experienced a pure business civilization. So let's keep that in mind when we are trying to spread this information, that mankind has never experienced a pure business civilization. Pure business civilizations have no ruling classes. They have nothing above the working class, nothing suppressing us. The only thing above is the prime law that forbids initiatory force, threat of initiatory force, or fraud. The pure business civilization works on mutual value exchange. Pure business civilizations happen only after mankind moves beyond the following mode mentality. And a ruling class then seems absolutely alien. But right now, that's all we've ever known. So the whole idea of not having a ruling class above us seems absolutely alien. We need to reverse that. We need to flip it. But the neothink mentality is the next leap of our minds out of the following mode into the self-leader mode. The neothink mentality is the final evolution of man. Beyond that, it's all business. It's all value creation to everyone's benefit. So we stand at the edge of that leap of mankind. Us going public and the actions I lay out here today will let us set up that universal leap for all of mankind. We will bring our vision to the world. Remember, you ascenders, I just wrote about having a vision, right? You must have a vision. Today, we're going to see our vision. By the way, the business civilization is the civilization of the universe. What's the civilization of the universe? Well, you all know the answer to that. It's those civilizations that have passed through their nuclear decision threshold. Now, just so everyone here is clear on what the civilization of the universe means, all conscious civilizations throughout the universe will reach the point where they have the power to wipe out conscious life on their planet. At that point, the civilization must rid itself of irrationality through neotech. That is, through fully integrated honesty, or it will destroy itself. This is all laid out in my father's, Dr. Frank R. Wallace's Neotech Discovery, that many, if not most of you, have read. Civilizations that survive their own nuclear power are now purely rational civilizations, functioning through the prime law in a business civilization. That's the civilization of the universe. And now we must join them. And today I'm laying out the actions to do so. I am actively setting up these things I will talk to you about today that will open the way for the whole world to make the leap. So for my first two talks, you learn that I operate at two levels. One is with the individual, NeoThink tools for you. Two is with the masses, NeoThink tools for civilization. Now on my YouTube channel, I work at both levels. I recently recorded 2 podcasts with my son, Wallace. The first podcast works at the level of the masses, which I'm sure you've all seen. Now, the second podcast works at the individual, works with the individual at that level. And that second podcast will go up very soon. I want you all to send your friends and loved ones to that second podcast specifically. They'll learn how to personally rise up to another level in life. And as they watch this new podcast, they could become NeoThink lifers, just like you. You'll understand why in a moment. I'm going to explain why that is. All right, so going public for the first time, I will now deal more aggressively with the masses. This is where we need to go. Remember last time I told you we need to reach not just the searchers, but even the non-searchers as well. We need to reach everyone at this point. So how do we move civilization beyond a political civilization where our leaders suppress us with their initiatory force and with the people stuck as followers? How do we move this political civilization into the business civilization, the civilization of the universe, where no one can suppress us any longer, where the prime law reigns? Well, those questions led me to these questions. If we focus on moving civilization as a whole, what should be our stimulation? What can be so stimulating to move people into taking the leap? Now, many of you remember the TVP, the 12 Visions Party, over a dozen years ago. You'll remember me teaching you to stimulate first, not educate. Stimulation must come first. You must move people with stimulation. Education comes later after you stimulate them, and then they volitionally want to know more. So here's some stimulation. The transition into being wealthy and never having to worry about money again. Well, you can say that, or you can back it up. Imagine me now on a major podcast, which, by the way, I'm working toward prepping for the next move into larger, more wide-reaching audiences through becoming a guest on larger podcasts. But imagine me on a major podcast for a moment. And I said, the pure business world would quickly cure poverty and make everyone live like a millionaire. Well, what do you think the host would do? He'd say something like, well, that's a huge utopian claim. How would that happen? Well, now he and his audience is ready to be educated. I would roll into I'd roll into how the free geniuses of society and their rapidly advancing technology drives prices toward zero and values toward infinity. I would expand on that with an example or two. Then I would roll back into stimulation until asked to explain my claim, meaning educate us. So they want to be educated, but first we must hook them with stimulation. So next I'd stimulate them with something like, the business world would very rapidly become free of most diseases, including the deadliest diseases. The host would smile and ask me to explain such a major claim. So then I'd roll into how the cost-prohibitive, force-back regulations at every turn in society prevent the dynamics that the medical world needs to make major advancements at a necessary clip. Yes, to arrest the growing diseases that are quickly compiling on the human race. And I would back that up with an example or two. So what about the idea of being so safe you don't have to lock your doors? Well, I'd make that stimulating claim, for I can back that stimulation up. If the host asks, I back it up, I educate. You see how that works? FYI, I am now prepping to move ahead into that world of public exposure on the larger podcasts and shows. This is part of the work that Wallace and Frankie were doing in Miami this past week, making some connections and contacts for me that we'll be rolling into very soon. Okay, so all of you know that my NeoThink book, The New World, lays it all out. All the backup is in there, the education. So refamiliarize yourself with everything, be ready to educate, and remember to stimulate as we move forward. This is what I'll be doing. You will be able to witness me doing this, and you'll be able to follow in my footsteps. But remember, you don't want to educate at first. That's where we lose people. You really just need to stimulate with those hooks. And when they ask you to explain it, maybe they're chuckling under their breath, you look like a curiosity, but just realize at that point, you've hooked them. You've hooked them. And now you are given permission to go in and explain and educate. And you can do the number on that one. You just need to hook them. So remember the approach: stimulate, then educate once you've hooked them. Now, there are several stimulant hooks. I'll just roll out a few here in my notes here. Let's see. End of poverty. Okay, you can back it up. Eradication of diseases. You can back it up. Eradication of terrorism and crime. Throw out the hook. And when they ask, back it up. Minimization of unemployment. Hook them, then educate them. Soaring quality of life. Superior education. Elimination of the national debt. By the way, these are things that people are starving for answers for. That's why we throw out the hooks. They'll bite. We educate. That's how you do it. The libertarians have made great headway, but the one problem is they try to educate right up front. They need to understand this lesson of stimulation. Stimulation makes the world go round. Then we are given permission to come in and educate. Now, last month, I talked to you about how to solve the problem of the old bicameral-like following mode mentality. Now we must start a wave that opens people's eyes to their following mode and the suppressive ruling class that exists above them. Really, they feel it, they sense it, but they don't really understand why that happens, and it's just always been that way. They gripe, they grumble, and rightfully so. So do you all remember the innocent quiz? Give me some thumbs up. Who remembers the innocent quiz? There we go, thumbs up, good. We go in and just nonchalantly, we just go in and sort of broach the subject that, hey, you know, I heard about something, I read about something, and it's really interesting. And you give them that little innocent quiz that I talked about last month. So by waking them up and opening their eyes on the micro level to their own following mode, well, they've never even realized this before about themselves. And that begins to give them the ability to open up on the macro level as well and begin emotionally withdrawing support of the parasitical ruling class. You'll be surprised how many people wake up when you go through that little innocent quiz. And most of you are following, I think all of you are following my YouTube channel. I call it our YouTube channel. And you read the comments, and we have one very good neo-thinker on our YouTube channel from France. Remember, neo-thinker from France? And he keeps asking, we still have to pay taxes. So how is this a solution? You remember teaching people to withdraw. And our friend from France says this doesn't work because we still have to pay taxes. First of all, if he's listening, I totally relate to your question because I understand where you're coming from. And yes, we still are trapped in the ruling class political system, but we emotionally withdraw. Now, that emotional withdrawal will have a powerful effect on ourselves. For one thing, the epiphany that we are no longer a follower brings us immediate power and strength on how we live our lives henceforth. Now, that withdrawal of the following mode will change you forever. It'll change you forever. And a lot of you have gone through this transformation. In fact, I say probably everyone on this call has. Moreover, your attitude will begin to rub off on others, and it will spread without you even realizing it. Now, I saw a documentary years ago about a terribly suppressed country. I don't remember which country it was, but the narrator said that once freedom was tasted by the few, it spread with such force to the many. There was nothing that could stop it until the decades-long tyranny absolutely ended abruptly, just ended. So I say to our good neo-thinker from France, we have paid taxes all our adult lives. All our adult lives. We've lived under the ruling class, and we still live under the ruling class. So let's not stress about taxes for the time being. Let's look at something bigger going on here. Forced taxes will be in the ruling class you live under, period. Nothing we can do about that until there are no more ruling classes, which is the big vision we're heading toward. And today, I'll lay out more actions for us to take while on our journey to that destination. Remember, Ascenders, the vision, the destination. You must have that vision. Today, we're going to get that vision very clear. Now, I want you to think, where do those people who withdraw their emotional support of our political structure turn? Where do they turn? They'll feel like our friend from France, where, wow, I'm still in this trap, aren't I? Yes, they are still in that trap, in that because we live in a political system. We do not live in a business system. And so we are going to pay those damn taxes and live under the forced back laws and regulations as long as we're in the political system. There's no other way. Yet the people who begin to emotionally withdraw, well, they begin to grasp what a business civilization could be like. Something that has never happened in the history of our beautiful planet. But their minds begin to open up to the idea and the possibilities. It's like those people who are trapped under tyranny beginning to taste freedom for the first time. This begins to spread. Once the genie is out of the bottle, there's no putting it back. So now that their minds are shifting, opening up to the possibilities, what do? Well, we offer them a place to go, to learn, to share emotional support, to share actions that are working to spread our vision. We open the way. We invite them into our NeoThink network state with the prime law as our constitution. Now, this formalizes our movement and gives a place where we can grow our power in numbers. Realize that up until now, we've operated strictly as a secret society. Although we have over 2 million searchers around the world who have ordered and read my books, we all existed in our little pockets, our clubhouses, and we're not free to bring in others. We have never had a place where we can go and freely bring in others to join us. Until now, it's been by invitation only, by a personal invite from me, as I actively searched the world for people like you, for searchers. But now that I've done that job, now we can go public. It opens this up to all of us bringing people in, yes, in large numbers, because they'll learn from our outsourcing efforts and our crowdsourcing efforts in our NeoThink network state. Think about that, crowdsourcing efforts. That's huge. We're going to learn what that means. The energy is going to be breathtaking. All of you here will be wonderful mentors in the NeoThink network state. I'm counting on you. First, all of you will join. It's free and it's brand new. I'll be setting it up over the next few weeks. There'll be a wealth of NeoThink information in the NeoThink network state. And this is the start of something big, my friends. Let's imagine for a moment those who live in severely suppressed countries around the world. Now they have the opportunity to become citizens of the NeoThink network state. Imagine their passion. Imagine the energy. Just looking at you here on my computer screen, I'm seeing this, I'm seeing this, I'm seeing this. I can see the excitement amongst you. So now that I've decided that it's time to take this step, we can really let it happen. This is the beginning of the actual worldwide movement you, my NeoThinkers, have been patiently waiting for. Some of you for decades have been waiting for this. I've been waiting for this, but I've had the wisdom to realize it would collapse if we weren't at the right spot, the right timing, the right prime literature completion, the right group of people. We need all this to have the strength to make this next move. So this is where it all begins. Over half a century of work with the prime literature to get us to this point, and you deservedly are at the ground floor. What is our goal with the NeoThink network state? I'd throw that question out. Well, I break our goals with the NeoThink network state into three. Number one, the near-term goal. Number two, the intermediate goal. And number three, the long-term goal. There I am, again, Josh, breaking things down into threes, as you identified. Okay, number one, the near-term goal. So we're going to open an easy pathway to liberate people's minds and bring them into a business civilization. We'll establish the societal laws and structure and documents, along with one other powerful master puzzle piece that I'm going to mention in a few moments. Got to hold that one off for a sec. All right. We just ran into technical difficulty here. The camera stopped recording. So let me get Wallace over here. Actually, that might still be working, but this isn't working. It just run out. Okay. All right, thanks. That working okay over there? Okay. No, it shut off a minute ago. Okay. We're good? Okay. All right. So that's number one was the near-term goal. Now, number two is the intermediate goal. Here we're going to open a vibrant community of citizens searching for a better world where they can do business here and prosper here. We're going to set up probably a tithe, as I mentioned in the New World, a 10% tithe going to the NeoThink network state that will be used to move us forward toward our long-term goal, which I'll talk about in a second. These actual details will be worked out at a later date, but basically we're talking about the masses coming in and doing business with these like-minded people. It's like the business alliance, original business alliance concept, and here we'll have it as our entire country. We'll call it our NeoThink country, network country for the time being. So that brings me into the long-term goal, which is raising the funds and the influence to eventually procure land where we can establish a nation state and work towards sovereignty, where the beautiful business society of wealth, health, and peace can rise uninhibited on our drive toward what? Toward curing aging and death. All right, so that's the big vision. The business society is laid out for us. As I said in The New World, my NeoThink book, The New World, I will be presenting a lot of that on the website of the NeoThink Network state. So here are primary actions and focal points that we'll be looking at and working on. We form a NeoThink Network state. That's going to happen over the next few weeks. The prime law will be our constitution. Our pure business society rises with the eventual vision of upending our political society. The NeoThink Network state starts at its origins, as opposed to, say, the 28th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Now, this is an important distinction. So with the network state, we can approach this immediately in the purest form. And that's why I say that all we need is the prime law. If we're transitioning America to a business society through the 28th Amendment, being the prime law amendment, there will be some, when you read through The New World, you see there will be some transitioning periods because it's such an overwhelming political structure and we're shifting it to a business structure. But with the network state, we can start off immediately in its purest form, which will give me, as a writer presenting this, will give me a huge advantage. So we start off as the pure business society for the world to see and observe, not having to evolve into it as we would in America. So that is just a very important distinction that I realize is going to be very beneficial to me. When we were working with the 12 Visions Party, it was a huge, overwhelming concept of transitioning America, evolving America into a business system. The network state, we are right there, right from the get-go. Okay, so let's just see here if I had any more notes about that. All right, and you know the big vision and where all of this is moving toward is a nation state in the future. So we'll need a lot of people. We'll need a lot of money and a lot of influence. So we must grow our citizens and our funding before we can make that next gigantic move into a nation state. Now, this brings me for a moment back to the speech I made for the VIP Austin conference nearly a year ago. Josh and Alicia, Larry, Sulin, and many of the other mentors handled that conference. It was a very exciting time. And I sent in a speech that was played there at the conference, thumbs up. And I was laying out an important big move that I was about to make. So do you all remember that? I see some thumbs up and heads nodding. All right, so some of you were there, and some of you have now seen that speech on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. You should, and be sure to watch that if you haven't seen that speech. So I'm going to update you right now on that project that I had talked to you about in Austin. So my idea, if you remember, was to reach the billionaires who have expressed the desire to and have invested serious money in the idea of living forever. Um, those billionaires, in fact, I even said in the speech, they have almost like a secret society or secret club of their own, of pouring millions, hundreds of millions of dollars toward research, medical research, toward extending lives with the goal of not dying. And if you just Google it, you'll see articles about this. So I found the billionaires who were the most avid believers in immortality and who have their own secret club going on toward living forever. I researched them, then I reached out to them, and I formed a unique approach to bring them toward our mutual goal. I remember back in my speech I was saying how unusual it is how many of these very wealthy people are political hacks. Most of them are very liberal. You do have some like Peter Thiel who are very conservative. But to me, it was because I'm completely non-political, of course, and it was interesting to me how closely our greatest goal in life aligned with each other. So I realized with their money and influence, we could actually start a nation state under the Prime Law, working toward curing aging, because we would unlock a medical mecca without all the force back regulations that hamper the whole medical world today in any country you live in. You can't even do offshore research. Everything's too regulated now. So here's what I did, which, by the way, was my son Wallace's original idea. He pointed out that running our business, we must check our SEOs to keep track of what's happening out there, what's being said about us out there online. It's really an important thing to do for this, for your company, for PR reasons. Now, knowing this, we realized that these billionaires or their staff would be doing the same thing, checking online, keeping track on what's being said about them. So knowing this, I ran very unique Google ads that were targeted to these particular billionaires who want to live forever. And I became very effective at it. In fact, they didn't look like ads at all. They looked like information nuggets. And when you clicked on these, they would take you to my website, cure2aging.com. And each billionaire, each person who would click on the information nugget, the ad that shows up on their search engine, it would be a personal letter just to them. That's how we program this. So if Peter Thiel saw this on his search engine result and he clicked on it, it would say, "Dear Mr. Thiel." And then I had a letter to him. And the letter opened up the realization that the thing that matters most to him or to these billionaires or to Brian Johnson. A lot of you know him as the Never Die movement, the fellow who sold Braintree, I think it was, for $800 million, and then is spending everything he can on a actual procedure on himself, measuring every organ in his body to see if he can slow down or cure aging. So he was one of the several of these people who I was sending my information nuggets onto their search engine results. In his case, and Brian Johnson, because he's the most aligned with this desire to cure aging, his whole life is this. Whereas these others, the Peter Thiels or the Mark Zuckerbergs, the Larry Pages, that's like a side thing for them. But Brian Johnson, it makes sense. And I had predicted he'd be the first to respond. So after I had run this, Brian Johnson shocked his followers and at a large live speech, his audience, the audience was cheering and all hyped. And then when he made this statement, everyone went silent. And there's articles about this online. They went silent because they didn't understand or couldn't believe what they were hearing. But by the end of the speech, they erupted into a massive cheer. But the reason they went silent, they had never heard this from him before. So he made this announcement that stunned everyone that his goal is to start a new country. Now, here's what happened. This was obviously becoming very effective. So I started really bombarding the other billionaires who want to live forever with the same approach. Things were rolling. Things were indicating, as Brian Johnson here showed me, that this was going to work. And then my IT guy called me once I really got this rolling and said, Google banned all your ads. And I'm like, what? What do you mean all my ads? This new campaign? No, everything. You're canceled on Google. So everything stopped at that point. And the thing that is really too bad here, by the way, we're just going to have to do this on our own now, and that's what we're talking about today. But one thing is, I really cringe when I see this, and I feel bad about this, is when this stopped on Brian Johnson's search engine results. That means he probably had people coming, Googling him, and also seeing The Cure to Aging. But everything just sort of stopped because I vanished on Google. It's a shame. It's too bad. And hopefully at some point he'll make contact and I can talk to him. You all know when I talk to people on a one-on-one basis, I can have a powerful effect on them. So I hope that that's coming. But in any case, we need to do this ourselves at this point. It's not going to work because I'm canceled with Google at this point. And I don't know. I've been checking frequently since, and they're not changing their minds. So that's that. Now, we're going to do it ourselves, and this is the process we're going to go through. We will get to the nation state eventually. We will start with the network state and work our way through this whole process. So this is good. The timing is now, and I'm excited that we're all here together doing this. I want you to remember that I have 2 million people all around the world who own my Neothink books and my father's Neotech books. I've operated in this secret society now for, well, we've been doing this for 56 years now. But see, here's the thing. Because it's a secret society, these people don't know me yet. The world doesn't know me yet. We've been in secret about this until now. But they will. They will know me. And that's the path we're on. Let me just look through here my notes before I move into this. Okay, so I'm going, now, enough said on that, on Brian Johnson and that whole project, but it was an exciting project. It was working, and it was taking me to where I wanted to go with it until I got canceled. So, but they can't cancel what we're doing, right? This is just the beginning. Yes. Okay, so Ascenders, I want to read a daily motivation I put up last week called Brink of a Breakthrough. And this is what got Tony very excited. I'm going to read it here, and then we're going to talk about the breakthrough. All right, so this was Brink of a Breakthrough, daily motivation last week on Ascension. I have been sitting on the brink of a breakthrough the past few years. I always know, I'm sorry. Let me enlarge this. I just pulled this up from Ascension, and the text is too little. Start over again. There we go. I have been sitting on the brink of a breakthrough for the past few days. I always know when it's about to happen. The exciting experience goes like this. My beyond awareness right brain is trying to send something big over to my aware left brain. I can feel both the right brain and left brain efforts, It's like my left brain is reaching for it while my right brain is pulsating. Like there is a pressure in my head as it struggles to get that eureka moment. I do not get a lot of time. Wait, okay. I do not get a lot of time during my creative mini day, my creative writing mini day, because my mind feels like it is pressing against the air around me. That's actually how it feels to me. It's searching for what it knows is there. What is it? What is it? I always know the basic subject matter. This one has to do with how we are going to move forward together as a peaceful army into the business civilization, into the Sea of U. Indeed, there is something big in my mind. There is something big my mind is reaching for. Sorry, it's hard for me to read this on the computer. Indeed, there is something big my mind is reaching for, but I just don't know what it is yet. Yet I can feel it is just beyond my consciousness, just beyond my awareness, just one eureka moment away. It's almost painful, but there is no pain. There is both excitement and frustration. I don't always get the anticipated eureka moment. I've told Wallace, Marco, and Frankie before when I am on the brink, but then not get it. A dud. So frustrating. However, more times than not, I do get the breakthrough, an explosion. So exhilarating. Today, I am letting my ascenders know I am on the brink for these past 3 days, and I'm right there. As I said, it has to do with how we move forward into the new world. I am hoping to have the breakthrough by my talk to the movement members, most of you, this Saturday at noon Pacific time. So there we go. That was what was up on the Ascension Daily Breakthrough. And I have some good news. I did make the breakthrough, and we're going to talk about that. All right, so now let's talk about that breakthrough. So as you fully know, we're facing the difficulty of the massive nature of waking up the world to the suppression they have always lived under. They don't fully realize it because they have never known anything else. They've always lived under this, so they don't know anything else. They don't fully realize it because they've never known anything else. And here's the problem. How do you explain a new color no one has ever seen? And that's the challenge. And the challenge magnified by the fact that I have run a secret society for the past 4 decades, so I'm not widely publicly known. So to wake up the world, I have the massive job of opening the eyes of the masses to something they've never seen before. Wow, what a combination. While turning away from the world they've always and only known. What a task. And to top it off, I have no known credibility with the masses. It's not like I'm Elon Musk bringing this immense breakthrough message that people will listen to, and accept. Who is this guy? So I do have plans to get on larger podcasts and interviews, as I mentioned earlier, to reach larger audiences. But I realize I need to be seen more than a curiosity to those audiences, right? So that's the problem I have. That's what I've been wrestling with. And that was the pressure I felt in my head as I knew there was a breakthrough coming. So during this 4-day stretch, when I felt I was on the brink of a breakthrough, little clues started leaking through to my right brain, to my left brain. Now pay attention how this works, this right and left brain combination. So I started recalling things like the moments the audience would lean forward when I gave a seminar speech in the past. That is, when I had the audience in the palm of my hand. I recalled what most people responded to in the letters I sent out to the searchers of the world, those letters that I sent out to you and to others. I've learned what people responded to, what made them interested in what I had to say. I remembered the most active discussion boards back when I had those. Remember those, Josh? The discussion boards. I remember which ones got the most traffic. I realized the dominant topics in the thousands of testimonials I receive and the most frequently asked questions in my customer feedback. So I started to see these puzzle pieces. That's what they were, starting to snap together in my head. This is what I was reaching for. And lo and behold, a puzzle picture began to form. And then without notice, the missing piece snapped into place during my second podcast recording with Wallace. Now, you haven't seen that podcast yet, and it should be up real soon. Just recorded it last week. The breakthrough puzzle picture during that podcast just suddenly came into clear view and brought me the breakthrough I'd been looking for. And here it is. People need a close to the heart experience of breaking from the following mode to fully understand it, to truly believe it. If you go out and start talking to them about the political world and all, politics, 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 politics and religion, don't talk about it, right? That's what we always hear. But now, as you'll see on my second podcast, if you talk to them about something that actually mends their heart, actually excites them within, about themselves, not about politics, not about religion, not about the world, but about themselves, then when they feel the transformation, they'll truly believe it. Hey, wow, I was suppressed. I was in a following mode. Gosh, darn it. And I never knew it. Now that approach is powerful. And I realize that. And this is why I want you to have your family and friends watch that second podcast. It will change them into neo-thinkers. It really will. Because once they feel it in their heart and thus truly believe it, then, and really only then, their eyes can open to the massive fraud that has held them down their whole lives. The ruling class put there by our own following mode mentality, the mentality they never realized they were stuck in. So it's like, I use this analogy. It's like the child. I witnessed this in my own children and their friends. When they first discover their first word, reading their first word, I remember with my daughter and her little friend, and we were at McDonald's. And all of a sudden, her little friend said, trash. She goes, trash. And then she says, trash. And she points at a trash can. And I said, that's right, sweetie. You just read a word. Well, the entire time we were in McDonald's, she's just looking around, reading every word she could put her eyes on. So it's like that child who discovers his or her first word. Suddenly, he or she can see the whole world of words around them. And the beautiful world of reading and knowledge opens up to them. Well, once one sees his own following mode in life through, I'll say the second podcast, for example, then suddenly he or she can see the whole world of this following mode, just like the child sees a whole world of words. And the whole suppressive structure opens up to his or her consciousness. And then that lucky person can step into our world, our new world, step into our neo-think network state. So my second podcast with Wallace will be on my YouTube channel soon. Frankie is actually going to edit that. He just got back from Miami. So hopefully you can get that up in the next few days here. So I want all of you to be looking for it, watching it, and commenting on it. Remember, that's very valuable for the algorithm to comment and to comment on other people's comments. And please do this as soon as possible. I'll send out a We'll send out messages when that's up, so you all know about it. So now that personalized approach is going to play a powerful role and will be at the center of this movement into the new world. That content on how to lift people personally will be a signature speech in our movement. So I want you to invite as many people as you can to watch that podcast. And again, as I always say, introduce them to the Mark Hamilton YouTube page. The handle is at Mark Hamilton Real. Yeah, and do them a tremendous favor as well. I'm going to need all of your help in building and contributing to the NeoThink Network state, as well as recruiting people to the NeoThink Network state. As time goes on, we'll figure out how all of you can contribute. We're going to find out ways for you to add more value to the network state. I'll be busy with my sons, Wallace, Marco, and Frankie, and with Josh on structuring the NeoThink Network state over the next few weeks. Now, I'll close this with these thoughts. The country and the world continues to get worse and worse. That's what happens in the political world. It's inevitable. Business in this political world we live in is bringing us whatever it can. The AI breakthroughs can lift industries unlike ever before. But the ruling class keeps gaining power backed by initiatory force. And we see this every day. We're living during dangerous times. And as the ruling class gets more and more powerful, things begin to seem more and more confusing to people, not necessarily to you, but to your friends out there and your children and their friends. It just becomes overwhelming. It gets to the point where ordinary people just can't figure it out anymore as irrationality goes to new levels never seen before. Remember, these leaders, do we need to pause? No. Okay. And remember, these political leaders out there, they have the gift of the gab. They're the educated elite. They're the ones who rise to the top, the easy route to control us. So they can talk circles around us, mind you. They can and confuse us. And now they're dumbing down our education like we've never seen before. Dumb us down, rule over us, makes it easier. Dumb down and rule. So that's what's going on. We all know it. I remember last month I explained about not to go up against this ruling class. It's the wrong move. We now must use a counterintuitive, unconventional approach instead. We need to, instead of attacking the ruling class, we need to, and attacking this ruling class, it gets more and more confusing, trying to explain this to our friends. We simply withdraw. We pull back and disengage intellectually and emotionally, and we send our friends to the NeoThink Network state. Instead of trying to understand it and fight it, we just pull back and become more and more disinterested in it all. Just forget about all the confusing and angering BS going on in the political world. We just pull away, pull back from that cold anti-civilization. And now we have a warm, beautiful place to go, to the NeoThink Network state where rationality will shine. So in today's political world, we feel disgusted and angry. I mean, I'm with you on that. I feel that every day. And we feel so helpless with what's happening to our border, to our country, to our neighborhoods, to our schools. Now we can instead just step back and relax, just withdraw from it all and quietly, happily enter the NeoThink Network state, knowing where this is headed, knowing our destination. The more we emotionally withdraw, the more people who join us and emotionally withdraw, the more impact we will have against that anti-civilization. We are who the external authorities will fear in time. We who withdraw. It's the beginning of a world where there'll be no more ruling class. This is now our course. This is our course of action, entering into the NeoThink Network state. I'm working on developing our NeoThink Network state over the next few weeks. My goal is to immediately replace people's confusion and anxiety with clarity and peace of mind. That's a job for a good writer, a writer from the Sea of You, from me, your prime mentor. Your job as my warriors will be recruiting people into the NeoThink network state. Remember last month, we talked about how to go about attracting people. The following mode quiz, while opening their eyes to the resulting malevolent political ruling class in juxtaposition to the benevolent business producing class. We will need to, at some point, explain that we have never had a business civilization. We have only had a political civilization, which leads to everything that's bad in business, bad in big business, big tech, big pharma, intertwined with politics and force and unearned power and wealth. So I'll do that job for us on our NeoThink Network state on that website. But I want you to personally develop that understanding for when you need to use it in your conversations. Remember, the new world is a good place to go and sharpen up and develop your communication skills. We must know this. We must know that capitalism in its purest form has never happened on Earth. Never. And when we do have pure capitalism within the business world, when the political world no longer exists, the prosperity explosion is going to be something incredible. I mean, I get goosebumps when I mentally separate myself from the anti-civilization and visualize the Sea of You. But remember, to convince people to change their entire view of the world, their lives, their relationship with the world, their interactions with their institutions, their place in society, well, to upend all of those views and relationships with life in general, it's going to be overwhelming. I know you've personally gone through this huge shift yourself, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. So let me just scroll through my notes here. I think we're about to wrap it up. All right. So today, as I sit here before you, I say we're on our way. I have to wrap my brain around the business world and communicate that through the information I'll be putting in the network state. All of this comes down to the prime law and having a place that people can go and experience the prime law. All right, just looking through my notes. There anything else? Right now, it's going to seem alien to people, to your friends, but eventually it's going to be the other way around. All right, so yep, that will give us, this network state will give us a tool to develop the structure and to raise the funds, the influence, the personnel, and skills to eventually start our nation state. And I want to thank you all today for taking that overview of our actions to come. And I truly hope you'll spend time here with Josh, expressing yourselves. I do have a commitment I must move on to, but I want to enjoy listening to all of you tonight. This is going to be a huge undertaking, but it's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. And I'll see you here in about a month with our progress and the when we form and found this NeoThink network state. So thank you, everyone. This is really a great time together, and enjoy your weekend. And Josh, why don't you take it away with everyone? I must move on now, and I'll listen to all of you tonight. Bye, everybody.